there is something we need. It's a leap of faith. Oh, if you have the will and the moment to spare, it's a beautiful world out there. It's a beautiful world out there.
This walk starts at Kelty Bridge before following the farm tracks to Bracklin Falls. The falls occur in a rocky gorge about 14 foot wide. After heavy rain, the water plummets over a succession of rocky ledges and makes a sheer leap of 50 feet. Until 2004, a long-standing steel footbridge crossed the falls until it was washed away by severe floods. It was on this bridge in 1844 that a young man and woman, while frolicking on the bridge, fell to their deaths. In 2010, a new wooden and copper bridge was constructed over the falls. While the small town of Callander is now renowned for its tourism, with ice cream shops, cafes, fudge shops and Scottish gifts, it has a deep history. A Neolithic settlement was once located just south of the town, and a Neolithic chamber cairn, which at 322 metres in length is the longest in Britain, situated near Kelty Bridge. An ancient hill fort can be seen at Dunmore overlooking Loch Venacher to the north. Roman ramparts constructed in the 1st century are visible at Boscastle Farm. A medieval motte is visible at the Hill of Keswick. A medieval tower house, Callander Castle, once stood south of the river, which was believed to have been built in 1596. In 1645, a battle took place in Callander between the Scottish clans, and in 1803 William Wordsworth visited the town with his sister Dorothy. However, one of the more interesting stories of Callander relates to one of its residents, Helen Duncan. Helen was born in Callander in 1897. At school she would alarm her fellow pupils with her dire prophecies and hysterical behaviour. After leaving school she married a cabinet maker and a wounded war veteran who was supportive of her supposed paranormal talents. In 1926 she developed from clairvoyant to physical medium by offering seances. In 1928 photographer Harvey Metcalf attended a series of seances. During a seance, he took various flash photographs of Duncan and her alleged materialisation spirits, including her spirit guide Peggy. The photographs that were taken revealed the spirit to be fraudulently produced, such as a doll made from a painted papier-mâché mask draped in an old sheet. Helen used a mixture of egg whites and chemicals to create the illusion of ectoplasm spewing from her mouth. In 1931, scientist Harry Price paid her £50 to perform a number of test seances. During all 4 tests, Helen would cause a disturbance, ruining the controlled nature of the test, and during the final test she punched her husband and attempted to hit Mr. Price. In 1941, during World War II, Helen held a seance in Portsmouth, at which she claimed the spirit materialisation of a sailor told her that HMS Barham had been sunk. Because the sinking of the HMS Barham was revealed in strict confidence only to the relatives of the casualties, and not announced to the public until late January 1942, the Navy started to take an interest in her activities. 2 lieutenants were among her audience at a séance on the 14th of January 1944. One of these was a Lieutenant Worth, who was not impressed as a white cloth figure had appeared behind the curtains claiming to be his aunt, but he did not have any deceased aunts. In the same sitting another figure appeared claiming to be his sister, but Worth replied his sister was alive and well. Worth was disgusted by the séance and reported it to the police. This was followed up on the 19th of January when undercover policemen arrested her at another séance as a white shrouded manifestation appeared. This proved to be Duncan herself in a white cloth which she attempted to conceal when discovered, and she was arrested. A leak concerning the HMS Barham was later discovered. A secretary of the First Lord had been indiscreet to Professor Michael Poston of the Ministry of Economic Warfare. Poston said that he'd believed he'd been told officially and was not arrested. Duncan was found to be in possession of a mocked-up HMS Barham hat band. This apparently related to an alleged manifestation of the spirit of a dead sailor on HMS Barham, although Duncan apparently did not know that after 1939 sailors' hat bands carried only HMS and did not identify their ship. She was initially arrested under Section 4 of the Vagrancy Act 1824, a minor offence tried by magistrates. The authorities regarded the case as more serious and eventually discovered Section 4 of the Witchcraft Act 1735, covering fraudulent spiritual activity, which was triable before a jury. Charged alongside her for conspiracy to contravene this act were Ernest and Elizabeth Homer, who operated the Psychic Centre in Portsmouth, and Frances Brown, who was Duncan's agent and went with her to set up the séances. There were 7 counts, 2 of conspiracy to contravene the Witchcraft Act, 2 of obtaining money by false pretences, and 3 of the common law offence of public mischief. The prosecution may be explained by the mood of suspicion prevailing at the time. The authorities were afraid that she would continue to reveal classified information, whatever her source was. There were also concerns that she would be exploit the recently bereaved, as the recorder noted when passing sentence. The jury brought in a guilty verdict on count 1, and the judge then discharged them from giving verdicts on the other counts, as he held that there were alternative offences for which Duncan might have been convicted had the jury acquitted her on the first count. Duncan was imprisoned for 9 months, Brown for 4 months, and the Homers were bound over. After the verdict, Winston Churchill wrote a memo to the Home Secretary Herbert Morrison, complaining about the misuse of court resources on the absolute tomfoolery of the charge. In 1944, Duncan was one of the last people convicted under the Witchcraft Act 1735, which made falsely claiming to procure spirits a crime. She was sentenced to 9 months imprisonment. When convicted, she cried out, "I have done nothing. Is there a God?" On her release in 1945, Duncan promised to stop conducting séances, but she was arrested during another one in 1956. She died at her home in Edinburgh a short time later.
If only just for a bit. There's a new day to leave behind your troubles. There's a new day and it will set you free. There's a new day to get you through your struggles. I will always think of you and me. Darling, you've got to keep holding on through the night, 'cause I promise you this: if you try to get some sleep, if you give up the fight, if only just for a bit. There's a new day, it is waiting for us. There's a new day waiting round the bend. There's a new day and it will restore us. There will be new ways. This is not the end.